I was here 20 years ago when you were prowling the sideline with Mike Jacobs and John Cooper. First question is just what's it like to be back, and any memories of that experience and what it meant for you to have that opportunity back in '97?
At that time, it was probably the greatest opportunity that I'd had to come here and coach. And I got to see Coach Cooper yesterday for the first time since I've been back, and I had a wonderful time. I learned a lot of football with Mike Jacobs. At that time, I was a young coach, and he took the time to teach me about offensive line play. He was coordinating here, so I got the opportunity to do a lot of coaching and helping him. And it was a great time of my life then. I enjoyed it and really wanted to stay, but I had a chance to go with Coach Hollis and leave down there and get my own line to start my career, and I had the opportunity to come back. So it's unbelievable. It's hard to describe in words what I feel like being from Ohio, coming back here and getting the opportunity to coach.
Another question, I know you haven't worked directly with a lot of these guys yet, but some feeling taking a junior college tackle, how does that look against the guys who are coming back, Jamarco Jones, Isaiah Prince? Like, do you have any idea of how that'll all shake out or what you're looking at with that?
Well, he's like those guys are. He was a big athletic kid that we've been recruiting for a while and weren't sure what we were going to do, weren't sure what the numbers are, like it is in any year. But when we had the opportunity to get him, I think what it does is it provides depth and competition. And I think those are two things that are critical in developing any offensive line. You want to have depth, and then you want to have guys competing for spots. And we're going to have guys in both those tackle spots that haven't had much rep at all, game reps or anything. So more competition. We can create more guys with size and athleticism like he is, 6'8", 320, and can move. You want to take as many of those guys as you can, let them compete, and let them get better and provide depth. So, he's a great kid, and I don't think it says anything, but we're going to create some competition among those guys.
Second row middle, Ryan.
Ryan Ginn with Buckeye Sports Bulletin. Just whenever you spoke to some of the guys who had committed, back when Warner was the offensive line coach, what were those conversations like? What did they ask you about your role, any differences you had with him, and just what was the whole process like of getting them on board with being coached by you now?
Yeah, that's the first thing you want to do whenever a change is made. You want to get to know those kids, and that's the first thing that we want to do. Ed and I and Coach Meyer both want to set those kids down and say, listen, here's what's happening. This is what we're going to do. The good thing is Ed's not leaving. He's right here. So the relationship that he had and Coach Meyer had, those relationships are still here. There's just going to be a different guy around him coaching them. So at that point, it was a matter of me getting to know them, spending time with them, sitting down and saying, hey, what makes you uneasy about this? Here's my background. Here's who I am. They just want to get to know me and meet me so that they're comfortable with the change.
And then the time you spent at LSU as the offensive coordinator for a couple of years, did that influence anything you do as an offensive line coach? Anything you learned about yourself during that time?
Yeah, there sure is. I'll tell you, I know it was difficult. It was very, very difficult for me running an offense and coaching all 5 of the offensive linemen. And I learned to lean on guys. I learned that everybody in that staff room was important. When you're the offensive coordinator, obviously you're out there calling the plays, but throughout the week and everything in that room, it's everybody's ideas. And I learned that lesson then, valuable, that everybody in the room's got valuable ideas. You may be the one calling the plays, but everybody needs to contribute. So yeah, I did learn some lessons in that.
Back row, Mark.
Mark Oates, WOSN TV 44 in Lima. Gavin Cup, one of those guys coming in. I know you've had a chance to share with him a little bit. You've got a similar background with Gavin. How much does that help with being able to relate to him, and what are your expectations for him?
We hit it off well right away. I went up to see all those guys, and I went up to see him. We're from the same part of the state. We grew up, his dad, and I know some of the same people growing up. So that breaks down walls and building a relationship right away. And, after talking to him for 15 minutes, same thing with Josh Myers and some of the guys that, we've had. And it's easy when you share similarities. And so we had a lot of things in common right off the bat. And so, it makes that transition that much easier, and it made those kids that much more comfortable with the change that was going to occur.
Your expectations for Gavin?
Oh, he's going to be tremendous. I'll tell you, and I've recruited him before I got here, and to see him grow and his body's changed. In the last year, his body's changed and he's grown up, and he is working hard to be a great player. I expect him to play a lot of football games here.
Front row right, Austin.
Hey, Greg. Austin Ward from ESPN.com. I don't know if you've had much time to talk shop in terms of coaching offensive linemen with Ed yet. Does an offensive line coach, do you have something that is different that you want to teach these guys from what Ed did? Or are you guys very similar in the way you approach the game? How does that mesh early on?
It's been great. We were just doing it right now. That's where we were. And I think the one thing is, in football, the offensive line coaching is a fraternity. So it's not like we haven't known each other. It's not like we haven't shared the same clinics and shared ideas and sat down, because we have. And we're very, very similar in what we teach. Obviously, there's different ways of presenting things and different ways of teaching, but we're the same zone schemes, gap schemes, the thing they teach around here is the things that I've done forever. So, and we've been in there meeting, try to keep the terminology what it's been. We want to make that transition as easy for the guys here as we can possibly make it. I'm still going to add my touch and my flair to coaching the position, but within the scheme that he establishes and what he wants done in this offense. And we're going to keep it similar. And we've been meeting the past couple of days and again around recruiting as best we can. But I think it's going to be a really smooth transition.
Having two guys with that offensive line background, you just take control of the room now?
Hey, we do, absolutely. That's one good thing. When you got the guy calling plays, another offensive line, it's going to make my job a lot easier, I promise you.
Front row left, Bill. I'm sorry, Doug.
Doug Lane-Reese with Cleveland.com. You talked about the benefit of having Ed around or something like that. Is there any, I don't know what the word would be, any worry with something like that, that the guys who had him as their coach, maybe you want to make sure, well, they aren't going to check things with him because you're the guy in the room now? Is there anything that could be a negative with that?
I don't see that, because I don't want to come in. It's not like I'm coming in and putting my fist down and how we coach these kids and how we teach these kids. And I think it's good to have another set of eyes on the things we're doing. And if those kids want to go ask him advice on something, that doesn't, I don't have an ego. That doesn't bother me one bit. I think him and I get along. We've known each other for a long time. I know what Coach Meyer expects. I've been with him, so it's all going to function in that system. And, the more people you have and the more eyes you got on kids, he may pick up something I miss. Within coaching kid, he may have a way of reaching the kids here that he knows a little bit better than I do right now. So no, I think it's going to be a huge bonus.
And